to another episode of Dairyland Frights, the paranormal podcast that covers everything spooky, creepy, and mysterious in the Midwest. My name is John, and I'm here with my two co-hosts, Brooke and Megan. How you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you doing, Megan? I'm excited for your episode today. You got a great story.
This is wild. I don't know what's going on, but there's so many things that are unexplained. This might be a new cryptid in Wisconsin for all we know.
Yes.
So stay tuned to find out what I'm talking about.
Nice teaser. So our last before this, we did the Van Meter Visitor. Please check that out. Brooke did a great job. Very unusual, interesting,
pretty unusual.
And then I did the Lincoln Park Zoo, which is be careful if you're walking with sandals. That's all I have to say. Or your dog picks up something and gives it to you. Tune in to find out. And now to make this even better, kind of the theme for this these past three episodes, Megan, kangaroos
in Wisconsin. Yes,
in Wisconsin.
Believe it or not. Okay, so I'll go through my sources in just a few minutes, but I was looking into this and I was wondering, would you two believe me if I told you that Wisconsin has had countless unexplained kangaroo sightings that date all the way back to the late 1800s, and even to this day is still occurring, and there's basically no explanation for it.
No.
I only would believe you because I've heard of it before, because I know you're going to talk about Waukesha again, which is where I grew up. A lot of weird stuff happens in Waukesha. But yeah, this is crazy. I'm so excited to hear more because I don't know a ton about the details.
Megan, to our Australian friends, I apologize for my accent from the last episode, but I tried my best.
If anyone can give us some good tips on how to do a good Australian accent, we are totally open to it.
Yes. dairylandfrights@gmail.com. How to talk like an Australian. Okay.
All right. So I was doing some research and I was like, okay, where is all this kangaroo shenanigans coming from? And the earliest story that I could find happened in Wisconsin on June 12th of 1899. And a kangaroo was seen running through a woman's backyard during a tornado in New Richmond, Wisconsin. Like, out of all times, you're trying to, hunker down in your house, stay safe. You just see like a freaking kangaroo in your yard. It's like, what the heck is going on?
That's nuts.
Yeah. And to make things even crazier, there was a circus in town at the time, but there were no kangaroos within the circus. So it's like, where did this come from?
Right.
And it was never found. And then, believe it or not, the most recent kangaroo sighting that I could find was in June of 2019. And a motorist saw this kangaroo hopping across an Interstate 41 pedestrian bridge in Grand Chute, which is kind of near Appleton, Wisconsin. And the person called and they kind of saw it around like 7 a.m. in the morning. And they actually had officers go out and like look for this kangaroo, and it was never found. And I have proof that this happened because if you go on Twitter and you look up the Grand Chute police, there were two different Twitter posts that they put out. The first one said, just dispatched to a possible kangaroo. Yes, you read that correctly. Crossing the footbridge over I-41. Yep, it's Monday.
Monday!
That's amazing.
And then the second one said, we unfortunately were unable to locate it. If there was a kangaroo, it had to jump on us. We will continue to check the area and keep an eye out. So I have no idea what's going on here, but there's just one particular instance that happened in Waukesha in the 70s that I just found so funny that I'm going to tell you all today. So doing a little detour from my normal spooky stuff, but we love weird Wisconsin and all the kangaroo shenanigans that has to come along with it. So
hey, Megan, can I interrupt you really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
You didn't say they shot at the kangaroo wildly. No
John,
shooting at kangaroo.
Just you wait. It gets a little crazy here.
Nice. Let's go.
I don't know what it is with like Midwestern people, you know, like especially farmers. It's like, I'm going to go get my shotgun. I don't know what that is. It's a, you know, weird penguin aliens in my
Yeah.
fields. I'm gonna...
Penguin aliens, I suppose.
If you haven't tuned into the episode, we have a UFO episode. I believe it's around episode 11, around there. You'll have to tune into some spooky alien stories that we cover.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I have 3 sources that I covered within this episode. The first one is one of my favorites, Weird Wisconsin. It's a book by Linda Godfrey and Richard Hendricks. I
Rest
also
in peace,
pulled,
Linda.
Yes, we love her. Miss you. The second source is the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and then I also used the Advance Titan, which is UW Oshkosh's student newspaper. All right, are you guys ready for like the craziest kangaroo related story that you will ever hear in your entire lives?
Absolutely.
There is no beating this.
Let's go.
That is why I had to do a whole episode on it, because it gets crazy here. All right, so I'm going to get right into it. So I'm going to set the scene here. It's 1978. We're in Waukesha County, Wisconsin, and crap is getting really freaking weird in 1978. There were stories of kangaroos on the loose that hit national news. So this was a huge thing that happened. So we're in Waukesha County. It's April 5th, 1978. There's this lady, her name's Patricia Wilcox. She's a school bus driver, and she, you know, gets up early. She's about to go on her morning run on Moreland Boulevard, which is this like really busy multi-lane road.
I used to work on Moreland.
Nice, cool. Ask Brooke if you have any questions about it. Mm-hmm. So she's running along and she sees something. And she reports that she saw 2 kangaroos, a little one and a big one, just hopping across the road doing their little kangaroo things. And I actually have a quote from her. She said, "I thought they were deer at first. People were honking and slamming on their brakes, and finally one guy hit one, and it just got up and hopped off. The skid marks are still there. The guy just got out of the car and stood there looking."
Of course.
Yeah, as you would, I guess.
I mean, I guess like they're kind of the same color, but they're not the same shape. So I talk more about deer later in the story. So we'll keep it moving and then you guys can tell me your thoughts. But so that happened. And then a week later in the town of Pewaukee, Jill and Peter Hayshelick, I think that's how you say it. And then Peter's mother, Esther, they saw a kangaroo in their backyard while they were eating dinner. And so Peter, he, you know, runs outside and, you know, he couldn't find anything. No explanation for it. But the same exact day, another person named William Bush, he was a social worker. He was returning home from his job at the Ethan Allen School for Boys, and it was right after school hours, about 4:45 p.m., and he's driving on Highway 83 just south of Waukesha, to give you a little picture where we are, and he sees 15 feet ahead, there's this little creature scampering across the road, and at first he thinks it's a dog, but this creature stood up, and it was hunched over, so of course it couldn't have possibly been a dog. And even to this day, William won't admit that he thought it was a kangaroo because he still doesn't really know what it was. So he knows he saw something, but he can't say what it was. And then one more story. This is April 16th, 1978. It's 3 a.m. in the morning on Country Trunk A, which is about a mile east of Waukesha. Greg and Janet Napientek, I think that's how you say that, spotted a creature in their headlights while they were driving. And they say, we were pretty close, about like 30 to 35 yards. It stood up, and I couldn't really believe what I was seeing. It was 4 feet tall and colored like a deer. Janet thought it was a deer at first until it stood up on its hind legs and then jumped over a ditch and fled. She said, that was a kangaroo.
That's awesome.
Crazy. Like, so what is going on here? So this is when things start kind of like kicking up a little bit. So the people of Waukesha, they were like totally in on this whole crazy situation happening. Like they made like an entire joke out of it, and they, you know, were really like leaning into these kangaroo sightings. And the local newspaper, they ran this like photo of 2 children standing underneath this highway sign that said kangaroo crossing on it.
Nice.
And like local stores, they put cages out front, and they were like, oh, if you capture this kangaroo, you can get like a $50 reward. And people were selling like kangaroo themed shirts, and people were writing into the local newspaper like with like weird letters to the editor about these kangaroos. And the funniest thing of all is they actually concocted a kangaroo cocktail. And I
Nice.
have the recipe for you all. So if any of you are bartenders, make this up for me. Tell me if it's good. It's called the kangaroo cocktail. It's made with vodka, Southern
Like it.
Comfort, cranberry
Like
juice,
it.
and grapefruit
Like it.
juice. And
Like
this
it.
became like the favorite drink around town. And it had a catchphrase with it that people were joking that this drink was guaranteed to get you hopping. That's what they would call it.
Oh my God. That's
Thanks, John.
amazing.
And
That's
you all
awesome.
know Wisconsin, we love our drinking culture. So, I mean, of course we have a cocktail named after
Mhm. Yeah.
kangaroos. So this is like the literal best, part of this whole story. So there was this man in the Waukesha area. His name was William. He went by Bill Woolley. And he was this like well-known local prankster, and he, helped out at this Woolly Boys bar, which I don't believe is open still today. I did look it up, but William/Bill, whatever you want to call him, he decided, since there's these kangaroos hopping around, let's organize a kangaroo hunt
Of course.
for them.
Love
So
that. Love
Yep.
it.
there's this, pattern hopping up. It's like, oh, we see this like unknown creature, this cryptid. Let's
Mob.
get our
Yeah,
weapons
get
out.
a mob together and go hunt for it. Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's just like a favorite pastime of people in the Midwest. I can't
Maybe.
explain it.
Get him.
Yeah, so Mr. Woolley, he was like, let's put together a kangaroo hunt and like find these kangaroos. And like people were like totally into it. So on the morning of April 22nd, 1978, over 50 people showed up to hunt for
Wow.
these kangaroos. And like
Wow.
people were dressed up in like Aussie bush hats, and like
Hey,
they
I'll
brought,
spray you.
I wouldn't say weapons, but they brought gear to capture these kangaroos. Like
sure.
people had fishnets and rope and air horns, like whatever they could think. Like at least
love it.
they
That's
weren't trying to
amazing.
harm them. They were trying to
Yeah.
capture
Yeah, no
them.
shotguns, but I love the
No
fish
shotguns.
I
nets.
respect
That's
that.
yeah.
But like, let's think about this for a moment. We're in Wisconsin, right? So these people, they are like primed with beer, they're drinking, ready to nab these kangaroos. Like I can only imagine what this scene looked like. And the funniest part to me is that they, got together and they like strategized, like, how are we gonna, find these kangaroos? And so they put together this like super sketchy, questionable plan. So what they were trying to do is they were going to use air horns, the sound of the air horns, to drive the kangaroos towards Pewaukee Lake.
Okay.
And I don't know too much about this, but apparently kangaroos are afraid of water. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what Linda Godfrey's book said. So what they were going to do is they were going to drive the kangaroos towards Pewaukee Lake, but then when they got to the water, they were going to net them.
Okay.
With the fish nets. Yes.
Sure.
You know
So-
what's
Right.
this is a total aside, but you know what's hilarious is that when I was younger, there was a rumor going around that there was a mountain lion in the town where my parents' cabin is. And
Right.
and I was like 12, and me and my friends decided that we were going to go hunt for it with fish
Yep.
nets.
Good.
Like we were walking on the street with big
Love
fish
it.
nets over our shoulders,
Like,
and we
we're gonna get 'em.
basically had the same plan as these kangaroo hunters. And it's just interesting that a bunch of adults came up with the same plan as like a bunch of kids.
That's awesome.
So this is something I want to point out about that, Brooke. So people, they set up this like 75-foot fish net at the beach. But I looked this up, like how exactly big are kangaroos? And I mean, I guess it depends like how young these were, how old they were.
Mhm.
But kangaroos, they could be 3 to 8 feet tall, and they can weigh 40 to 200 pounds.
Wow.
So y'all think
Yeah,
that a fish net is gonna
No.
capture this thing? Probably not. So that's
Right?
crazy.
By the way, dairylandfrights@gmail.com for our Australian listeners. Could you tell us, goofy Wisconsin people, like, how do you catch kangaroos?
Yeah, how do you
ever
guys
catch
do it?
them?
Yeah,
Like, how do
please
you guys? Because you must have to.
teach us your
I mean,
ways, please.
Yeah, I mean, right?
You
I don't know.
You never know when you're gonna encounter
Help us
one,
out.
apparently.
Yeah, help us out, please.
All right. So people, they're like, we're going to get this hunt going. So people are hopping on their motorcycles. They're getting on their all-terrain vehicles. They're, hopping on foot, to start the chase. And I want you guys to imagine this. There were literally people beating the bushes with poles, trying to flush the kangaroos out of the nearby wood.
Oh my God.
All while people are, like downing beers and, blasting their air horns. It's like, are you okay, Waukesha?
That's not. Waukesha is not okay.
Our resident expert, Brooke, please explain.
I just can't. This is where the Slenderman thing happened. There's a lot
That's
of
right. Yep.
lot of nonsense going on in Waukesha. So
Yep. So it's a premier destination for sure.
Yeah, it checks out though. Like people just going on a hunt and drinking. It reminded me, you showed that picture of that Bill Woolley guy, and he's dressed as Santa Claus, and it reminded me, like, they used to do like Santa crawls, like bar crawls, where everyone would dress up as Santa Claus. I don't know if this was just Waukesha. I'm sure it happened in other places too, but it'd be like a huge group of guys all dressing up as Santa Claus going and doing like a pub crawl. So
Heck yeah.
It all
maybe, it could be a kangaroo crawl.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what it sounds like. Just an excuse to drink, any excuse to drink and get together, that's what they want.
Right. We love it. All right. So people are, going on this hunt. This one dude, he even decides to prank, the kangaroo hunters, and he dresses up like a kangaroo. And he's posing for the cameras, and then he rides off into the sunset on the back of a motorcycle. It's like, what the hell is happening?
Waukesha, please. dairylandfrights@gmail.com.
Just
seriously.
give us some answers here.
Please, answers.
All right, so these people, they are, hunting all day. They're sticking with it, and they do this thing for hours. Like they're dedicated to this all the way until 4 p.m. And these weary hunters, they retreat to Wooly's bar to drink a cold beer. It's like, was this a marketing ploy to sell more beer by Mr. Wooly?
Maybe.
This is so smart.
Maybe.
So I hate to break it to you all, but the hunters did not find any kangaroos that day. But wait, there's more.
What?
But wait.
All right.
So here's the funniest thing. If the hunters would have just looked elsewhere in the city, they might have actually spotted something, because the very next morning, there were actually 2 kangaroos that were spotted at this local residence.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the Nero residence. So there's this guy named Lance Nero, and he was watching the news, the day before, watching this ridiculous safari going on. He's laughing at it. He thinks it's totally stupid. But then the next day, he's eating breakfast, and he sees 2 kangaroos emerge from the woods. It hops across County 22, and then it just crosses this open field and just disappears. And so of course Lance was like, what the hell? So he immediately runs to his wife. He's like, wake up, Loretta, you gotta come see this.
Come on, Loretta.
Yeah. And so Loretta pops up. She's got to catch a sight of these kangaroos hopping away. And so Lance and his son Brock, they actually, get their shoes on really fast, and they chase after these kangaroos with a camera in hand. Unfortunately, they did lose them in the woods, but they found tracks. So it's like, there might be something to this. So Lance and Brock, they actually made plaster casts of the tracks, and a whole separate cryptozoologist named Mark Hall, he actually came from Minneapolis and made a special trip to make his own casts of this. So here's the thing that kind of bugs me a little bit. The authorities, they were totally gaslighting everyone. They were like, oh, this have got to be deer tracks.
Yeah.
They can't be kangaroo tracks. But the thing is, the casts that Lance and Brock took, they were narrow, they were 6 inches long, and they were V-shaped. So it's that couldn't possibly be a deer.
Right.
I don't know what else it could be, but it's not a white-tailed deer. That's for
right.
sure.
Yeah.
No.
Annoying.
Yeah. So the mystery keeps going on. You know, people are coining these like phantom kangaroos, and people are continuing to play into the story. Like the First National Bank, they started using kangaroos in their advertising. And then someone brought this like little 21-inch wallaby to the Brookfield Volunteer Fire Department meeting, and the little wallaby posed for photos. So the whole area was like totally on board with, you know,
kangaroo crazy.
Yeah, like kangaroo shenanigans. So this is interesting. There's this mysterious photo that surfaces out of nowhere. So there's these two 23-year-old Menominee Falls photographers, and they actually wanted to remain anonymous, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But they sent this color Polaroid of what appeared to be this like kangaroo-like creature in a wooded area, and they sent that Polaroid to the local paper. And what they were doing at the time was, it was April 24th at around like 5:20 p.m. They were actually out photographing ducks, and they got this photo. And so they sent it in, and this photo like blew up like around the country. People thought this was like actual proof, visual proof that yes, kangaroos have to be in Waukesha, because people saw this photo. And of course, you know, the authorities continued not to take it seriously. They're like, oh, well, we'll talk to people, but we're not going to like actually investigate it. Like they were actually trying to convince people, oh, you know, this creature, you know, it really coincides with like the feeding and like movement times of white-tailed deer. So they're very adamant. Like, guys, you know, this can't possibly be real.
Right. Yeah.
Huh.
If you guys thought that this could not get more wild, I'm going to challenge that.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah. All right. So it's Thursday, April 27th of that year. The Wisconsin Agricultural Department actually got involved with this. So it's like, this is the government getting involved with this. This isn't just like a, you know, funny little story going on in Waukesha. So they actually put out a press release that warned people to be aware of the kangaroos, because kangaroos can actually harm pets, specifically horses, because I guess kangaroos can be carriers of equine infectious anemia. So they could actually harm horses. But in this press release, what the hell? It said in it that you can determine if a kangaroo is diseased or not by examining the inside of its lower lip.
What?
What?
Oh, what are you gonna do? Like grab this thing and like check its mouth? Like so odd.
Put it in a headlock?
So allegedly, yeah, you know, like So allegedly, you could find a tattoo declaring if it was free of equine infectious anemia. So you'd be safe.
Okay.
But like, what the hell?
What?
So go ahead, John.
No, it's just what? Like you said, like what are we doing?
Right. Okay, get this. Yeah. So this guy named Gary Rode, he was the agricultural department secretary. He says, the problem is that the absence of such tattoos can either mean that the kangaroo tested negatively or it was not tested at all. So it's like, what the hell is even like the point of like the tattoo?
Right.
So people were like going crazy about this, you know, press release, and people were talking for days, protecting their pets, getting, you know, wild about it. But it turns out this thing was a hoax.
What?
The whole time?
Yeah. So the press release specifically. So this story was created by Edward Jaconimus. I think that's how you say his name. And at the time, he was Waukesha's Democratic State Assembly Speaker. And he actually issued this like bogus press release that tricked the agricultural department and the newspapers.
Oh my gosh.
So people were just like ready to play into this damn thing. So be careful what you read online, folks, because not everything is true.
Yeah. Especially about Meaghan and Brooke.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, it's not true. Whatever you read.
So as you can probably guess, people are getting a little burnt out. Like, oh, haha, this was funny at the moment, but like we're not seeing anything is not funny anymore. And people were obviously taking advantage of the stories and exacerbating it, and jokers and pranksters, they were, making it into something that wasn't. So people kind of started losing interest in this whole kangaroo thing. So an entire month goes by, nothing really crazy happens. But on Sunday, May 21st, this was like about a month later, an Eau Claire woman was driving down Highway 12 between Augusta and Fall Creek, and she said, "I saw a figure the size of a man hopping across the highway. It was 5 or 6 car lengths in front of me." Now, keep in mind, for all of you who aren't super familiar with Wisconsin, Waukesha County and Eau Claire are about 230 miles apart. So this is a 3.5-hour car ride. So this is very far from Waukesha. So it's like, how is this happening in all parts of the state?
Yeah.
And the woman said, it wasn't too visible, but it couldn't be a deer, couldn't be a dog, and it wasn't a man. So what was it? She just didn't get, that good of a view. Well, the truth comes out, kind of. Kangaroo sightings, persisted, but the Polaroid that I was referencing earlier, it was a fake.
Oh.
No.
Yeah. So things are starting to kind of unravel, because it turns out this creature that these photographers captured, quote, quote, was actually a stuffed wallaby that someone had taken from the Milwaukee Museum, put in a cornfield, and photographed.
Wow. The crimes just keep stacking.
I mean, they did get their, moment of fame, I guess. But they remained anonymous, which is interesting. Maybe they just didn't want to be
they just wanted to cause chaos.
Right.
All right, this might be my most hilariously funny story. So fast forward all the way to the year 2000. Some pranksters actually confessed to having used a plywood cutout of a kangaroo with handles on it to prank people.
Wow.
With it. So there were 2 sets of brothers. The first brother set was Randy and Rick Latta. And then they also had neighbors who were 2 brothers, and their names were Dick and Jack Schmidt. So these men actually admitted to hiding in the roadside bushes until cars would approach, and then they would bounce across the road with the plywood cutout.
Oh my God.
People.
I love it.
That's so funny.
They actually interviewed these people, and Randy said, we, just loved the reactions, people would pull over, they'd get their flashlights out, they'd be walking around, and we would just be laughing in the background. So, all right, guys. Funny. So, I mean, this sounds pretty much hoaxy, completely hoaxy, because it's where's the evidence? Well, what if I told you that there was a real, actual kangaroo spotted and captured in Wisconsin?
Really?
Yeah. No. So we're going to fast forward about 5 years. So this, all the way from the 70s, all the way to 2005, this was the first kangaroo that was actually captured. So this was about 27 years after the whole Waukesha craziness went down. So this was actually in Dodgeville, Wisconsin, which is not that far from Madison.
No. Right.
20 minutes away from me.
Yep. And there was a kangaroo sighting again. Only this time it was not, a phantom kangaroo that, didn't exist, or a plywood cutout. This was an actual live kangaroo. And over a dozen people in Iowa County, they all got together and they tracked this animal. It was about 150 pounds to a barn, and they coaxed it into a crate, and they took this actual real live kangaroo to the Henry Vilas Zoo, which is in Madison.
Oh, look, man, it comes full circle.
Yeah.
So maybe there is some truth to this thing. And people were saying the animal was really easy to lure. So maybe it was someone's pet, but they just don't know. So they captured this. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if maybe you mentioned this or learned about this, but Wisconsin is actually one of only 3 states in the U.S. where you can legally own a kangaroo without a permit. So
that's good to know, because that kind of maybe people just get sick of it and they were like letting them go.
Yeah, maybe they're just letting their pet kangaroos
That's
loose.
rude.
Right?
Hang on.
John's just like awestruck, like, wait, stop.
It's true. If you look it up, it's like Wisconsin and like West Virginia and like North Carolina or something. Or like you can own a kangaroo in like 10 states, but in those 3 states, you can own one without a permit. Like you could just have a kangaroo. Like
you just have it. Okay.
It's a thing. It's very bizarre.
Okay, I believe you. I just don't believe it.
I learned something new today,
Okay.
Brooke.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm getting a kangaroo.
Yeah, right.
The more
you
you
can.
know.
You absolutely
Name
can.
him Hoppy. Hoppy the kangaroo.
But the other thing that's interesting to me too is that like the way people are describing it, they're like, "Oh, I saw something on the side of the road, like hunched over on its hind legs." It reminds me of like the stories about the Beast of Bray Road, because that's how they would kind of describe it. I'm like,
oh, totally.
What if they were seeing kangaroos the whole time?
It could have been.
Right?
They do get pretty big.
They do, and they have like their hands. You can like eat stuff out of their hands. That's so man. Crazy.
We might be onto something, Brooke. Yeah.
It all connects, you know. The more stories we tell, the more connections we find.
Come to think of it, I think this was an X-Files episode. A Mulder and Scully.
Could be. Yeah.
It might be.
It's the Mulder and Scully episode where you go, they're not really investing in kangaroos, are they? Maybe I saw that.
Man, even if people are like actually just having them as pets and letting them go, they're totally not equipped to handle our winter or our weather.
I know.
No.
So it's just like how for like
absolutely not.
Not even just decades. It's like this is spanning like different centuries. People are seeing these. And it's not even just in Wisconsin. You can, do a quick Google search. There have been these like kangaroo sightings like all over the US, and people are coining them phantom kangaroos because they just can't find them.
Interesting.
That's so crazy.
Well, that reminds me of urban legends that if you guys read about certain urban legends that came true, like alligators down in the New York sewers, you know what I mean? People flushing down their little alligators, and it turns out to be true. They actually catch them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
And then people, I don't know if you guys, this is a really sad story, but really quick. There was this guy who had this zoo in Ohio, this is a number of years back, and he had some mental issues, and he let all the animals go. Lions, ostriches, kangaroos, bears, tiger. Yeah. Unfortunately, the police shot them all.
Oh,
no.
So sad.
Yeah. It was just a really sad story. And why this guy, they were really bad, like animals in terrible, terrible shape. And you just let them go one day.
So maybe there could be some truth to this. It's like people just let them go.
Just let them go.
Yeah.
Right? That's what happens again in Florida. If you want to make quick money, which if we need quick money, all of us can do this. You can go down to Florida because they have a python problem. I don't know if you heard about this. Everybody let their pythons go because they got too big, and now they're basically like invasive creatures. So you got to kill them. So people go around with nail guns and they shoot these things, and then they. Craig Robinson, if you have Peacock, by the way, it's kind of a funny show, just an offshoot called Killing It. And Craig Robinson from The Office.
Oh yeah, Daryl, right?
Yeah. Plays a guy that needs money, and he winds up killing these pythons. And the whole show is about that. It's a funny show if you have Peacock to watch. It's a ridiculous show. It's very, very funny.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out.
No wonder people, who don't live in the United States are like, oh my God, those damn Americans are so crazy.
Yeah, what a bunch of idiots.
There's some wild stuff going on over here. Can't explain it all. It's a good time, though.
That's true.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, this kangaroo that they actually found, they took it to Madison Zoo and it actually died in 2008. And they never named it,
Aw.
which is interesting. They just called it the Iowa County kangaroo. So he didn't even get
Oh,
a name,
Poppy.
and nobody claimed ownership of the kangaroo. So even to this day, just no one can really explain it. So
oh,
yeah,
poor guy.
but something I want to ask you two is, do you think these like could have some truth behind it? Is this like a creature that people are seeing that maybe is like a Wisconsin cryptid? What is
I would
the
love-
explanation for like so many people around Wisconsin seeing what they think is a kangaroo, and nobody is like super close to really like confirm that it was. So it's like,
Right.
what do you think that it could possibly be?
Yeah, the fact that like people keep seeing them and then like they vanish is kind of odd, because if they were someone's pet, like this one that ended up at the zoo, you would think they would be a little bit easier to like coax or like get closer to because they're used to people. But I don't know. I think that there definitely could be truth to some of it, though, knowing that it's so easy to own a kangaroo in Wisconsin. Maybe people
Right.
are like, yeah, I'm gonna buy one, and then they're like, oh, this is actually a lot of work, I'm just gonna set it free. But very bizarre.
What do you think,
That is-
John?
I think maybe these kangaroos are adapting to our weather and becoming super kangaroos.
Maybe.
Oh, I like that.
Maybe.
That's terrifying
can
though, because they're not
survive.
like very nice all the time.
Uh-huh.
No, they're not.
They're like buff. Like the kangaroos are like freaky.
Hell yeah, they're in the gym like 8 hours a day.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Oh man.
That's what they look like.
Yeah,
wanna
just
fight?
Google videos. Yeah, just
Uh-huh.
Google a video when you threaten a kangaroo and he gets up on its hind legs and just clocks you on.
Uh-huh.
Like, damn.
Yeah, just punches you. Like, yeah, like puffs up their chest. It's like, oof.
Woof. No, thank you.
Yeah.
You know what is also super wild? Like, in Wisconsin, a lot of our, car accidents have to do with like deer running in the road, raccoons,
Yeah,
Bears.
different things like that. Yeah.
Bear.
Yep. If you want to know why I'm called Bear Slayer, there may have been an incident where I may have totaled my car by hitting a black bear. But that is
That's
story
besides
for
the
another
point.
episode.
She was aiming for that bear, folks. Don't let her fool you.
Guys,
Not just kidding.
it's so sad.
kidding.
But anyways, in Australia, a lot of their car accidents have to do with hitting kangaroos, which totally
Right.
makes sense. But that's just like wild concept to me.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I have this idea for you all. So you know how people
Okay.
have like mapped out different sightings of like the Chicago Mothman? We have
Yeah.
to do a map of all the kangaroo sightings in
That would be
Wisconsin.
good. That
I
would
like
be
that.
interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
And we can see the patterns and maybe track them better.
Yeah.
And-
so maybe we will
yeah.
get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, then we can catch one with a fishing net.
We're gonna break the news story.
Yeah.
So you guys throw the net on. I'll get it in the headline.
Mhm.
That cannot fail. That will work great.
Yeah.
You might have two black eyes by the time we're done, but it'll be a good time. I'll get it on YouTube. We'll blow
Yeah.
up.
Get on YouTube.
Yeah.
Done.
We'll be YouTube stars. By the way, Dairyland Frights is on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Make sure that you follow us. Email us at dairylandfrights@gmail.com. And if you love this episode, I have two other suggestions for you. Last week, we did the Lincoln Park Zoo, which John did an amazing job with. So if you want to learn more about other spooky haunted animals / tons of people buried and haunting the area, it's crazy. So tune into that one. And then you might also be interested in our episode 11. That's when we covered like different alien and UFO encounters in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So if you like the unexplained, those would be two suggestions I have for you. So tune in and let us know your thoughts. Leave us a comment, rate us 5 stars. Listen in to wherever you enjoy listening into your podcasts. And we totally appreciate all of your support.
Yes.
Yes, and I want to say really quickly, thank you to all our supporters. We are growing, and we appreciate that. We love what we're doing, right, Meaghan and Brooke? This is a bunch of fun.
It's so
It
much
is.
fun. We love it. This isn't even, work for us. This is so much fun.
Exactly.
We love doing this every week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I hope you feel the love and the fun. Please support us. Like, we are growing organically. We hope to grow even more. We might have some big news in the future about possibly going live
What could it be?
Mhm.
or recording us, see our shiny, happy faces. We are working on that, but we need support. That's how we grow and how we can give out better episodes and put out these great content of kangaroos running amok.
With no explanation, even to
With
this day,
no
we don't know.
explanation.
Yeah.
Again, this is one of my favorite episodes. I love it. Thank you,
Mhm.
Meaghan, bringing it to us. And just really quickly, please don't buy a kangaroo in Wisconsin.
Yes. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah. Brooke, you created a firestorm. Now we're going to have kangaroos everywhere.
You can start a herd here in Madison, Brooke.
Right? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, okay. But we will map kangaroo sightings. We will still do that, and that'll be our breaking news. So again, say hi to your kangaroo, but don't buy one.
Yes.
Go to the zoo.
Yes.
Go to the haunted zoo at Lincoln Park. Hey, listen to that episode. And again, say hi to your ghost, though, because we always love ghosts and everything. And we are looking forward to, after the holiday season, doing some more spooky stuff. And again, I love you both. Anything more to add before we sign off?
I don't think so.
Stay spooky.
Yeah. Have a happy Memorial
stay-
Day. Well, maybe it's past Memorial Day. Hope you had a happy Memorial Day.
Yes, we're recording this a little bit earlier so we can have some fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, again, stay spooky. We love you all. Support us on Apple and Spotify and YouTube. And we'll bring the spookiness again soon.